What's the most unreasonable demands you have ever had from a roommate? I'm going to throw out all of your cleaning supplies if they aren't green or eco-friendly. The irony was completely lost on him. I would have put them all in green bottles. The utilities are my bill, so you're not allowed to turn your PC on. Well, the rent's my bill, so you're not allowed to live here. That I leave my door unlocked, so she would have access to my room while I was at work. Stop cleaning the kitchen, especially when my friends are here. I can clean up after myself and it just embarrasses me. Well, history in the state of your bedroom has shown that you can't, and I'm not going to cook my food in filth because of your pride. An old roommate requested that I sleep with clothes on, so when he came into my room at night to take my bongs box etc., without my knowledge, he wouldn't have to see my naked body. Not a roommate, but my upstairs neighbor. I moved into a basement apartment that had been vacant for a while, and the guy that lived above me, he was not the landlord by the way, was a ducking Fruit Loop. He came downstairs and informed me that I wasn't allowed to lock the outside doors to any part of the building. Told me that I couldn't lock the door between the common laundry area and my personal storage space because he liked to dry his shirts in there. Told me that he had to sleep with his subwoofer on with his TV full blast. His bedroom was directly above mine because he had PTSD. Things started getting moved in my apartment, and I caught him on camera coming into my apartment when I was not home. I immediately started calling the cops on everything he did, complained to the landlord, and he ended up getting evicted. I now have the best neighbors in the world, and I'm hopeful that I will never see this guy again. Lived with a dude who moved his boyfriend into his room without asking anyone else in the house and let him stay there without contributing anything to rent or utilities because he needed a place to stay, and yet wanted me to pay extra for utilities and rent because my GF would use the shower when she stayed over on the weekend. I added a penny to my rent check a few times with extra for GF's water usage on the memo line. Lived with two guys fresh from their parents' home. Started out okay with one making dinner and the other to then doing the dishes. That somehow morphed into the demand that I always should do the dishes, even if I wasn't there for dinner. It got ugly after a while to the point even their friends thought they were being totally unfair. One time we let one of our friends move in with us before getting to know her very well. Not a good idea, and she ended up being extremely annoying and dramatic to live with. One time she got mad at me because I had the gall to close my bedroom door one night while my friend was over because I was worried we were being too loud. Apparently it was passive aggressive and horrible of me to do that to her. I lived with someone who didn't believe cleaning the bathroom was a chore, so he refused to do it. I had a huge argument with him, and he said that by its nature, it's just always clean, so he wasn't going to do it. It was clean because I kept getting grossed out and cleaning it. I had just moved in with this good looking girl and I asked if she wanted to go out for dinner that evening. I'd made it clear that it wasn't a date. She said, okay, but if I do, I expect to be fully reimbursed for the bus fare and the full cost of my meal and drinks. Also, I will make the choice of the restaurant and your meal cannot exceed the price of my meal. I ate by myself that evening. I have two demands I made that were considered too unreasonable. 1. Keep the temperature above 65. I had a large roommate who, regardless of the outside temperature, 0 female, wanted the apartment to be cold at all times so he wouldn't sweat after he refused to stop using air conditioning in winter. The other roommates put a lockbox around the thermostat. 2. Don't yell into your microphone after 10 p.m. Had a roommate who considered himself a major league gamer. Problem was, he sucked. Every time he died in a game, he'd start screaming. Worse, he played video games until 2 a.m. every day, having a single room dorm. This was totally unacceptable. I'm in college, and this past August I moved into an apartment with 3 friends of mine. One of them I wasn't as comfortable with as the others, let's call her Karen. But I was optimistic. Shortly after we moved in, Karen accused me of being the messiest one out of all 4 of us in the kitchen. I definitely didn't agree. I may have left a pan out a few times or not loaded the dishwasher, but I was by no means a pig. Almost out of spite, I decided to start being overly anal about the kitchen. I immediately washed and put away anything I used or ate off of. I labeled and kept track of all of my groceries in the fridge. And most importantly, I did not touch any of my other roommates' messes. I've since watched dishes pile up for days, watched fruits and veggies spoil on the counter, and dug up some truly rank leftovers from the recesses of the fridge. It's all Karen. She's the only one who does this. Literally right now there's rice that's been sitting in the risamaker for 5 days. I watched her make it on Saturday and disappear into her room for 48 hours. I'm just waiting for another accusation. That all of my toiletries be kept in my room, as she has a pattern she likes to lay hers out in, and mine disrupted. Lived with a girl who had a dog, and it was a great dog. I loved the dog, but she was not my dog to take care of. More than once, my roommate would be out drinking, and so something sleazy, and would blow my phone up demanding I rush home to let the dog out or feed her. Whatever. I could be in class, work, or with a friend, but whatever I was doing was less important than what my roommate was doing. Same roommate would call me at work often and demand I provide a key so her fat sleazeball boyfriend could get into our apartment. I refused that. Same roommate would get pissed drunk, lock herself out of the apartment, and killed my phone battery with texts, calls, and FaceTimes to come get her. I did it once. Next time it happened I left her outside for 3 hours to sober up. 3 hours after she was still so drunk she couldn't stand. The 2 times this happened were on New Year's and 4th of July. Both times she fully expected me to leave, being with my friends, find a cab, fight traffic, and get her sorry worthless ass. Happy to say I've since moved out and no longer know her. To cut their toenails for them cause they hate feet. My roommate issues were more along the lines of I'm mad at you about something, but I'm going to passive aggressively hate you rather than make any effort to talk about the issue. Currently what my roommate is doing, we haven't spoken in about 6-7 weeks because she won't just deal with the issue and tell me what's bothering her. I've asked multiple times and tried to sit down and talk with her and she refuses. I'll let a friend move in when she was having a really hard time. Mother died recently. Abusive relationship. Financial disaster. Abusive stepdad. Knowing that she does not have any money of close family, we agreed that she would move in and find a job, help with the rent, etc. And since I loved her a lot, I was okay with paying for everything including food and other household related costs for a short while until she gets a job. Big mistake. She basically refused to work, refused to look for a job, refused to help with anything at all. I refreshed her CV, sent her dozens of job applications, ads, you name it. I sent it to her, but nope. She just refused, saying that nobody was calling her back. She got up around 10 AM, ate whatever she could, watched a few TV shows, read for a while, downloaded some movies without asking, ate again, used my makeup, chatted with other friends, then went to sleep. This went on for 2 months. Might I add, I was working an entry-level job at a multinational company, so I wasn't exactly swimming in money, but I had a nice sum saved up for an upcoming trip that I've been planning for over a year. Then she started to ask for money and asking to see my online bank account. She started to say shit like I don't get it. People who have a lot of money, why can't they give it to the poor, to those who don't have any, instead of wasting it on meaningless things? I kicked her out after 3 dreadful months, saying that the owner is selling the house and I'm going to live with my brother. She ended up moving in with another friend. Haven't heard about her since. Dodged a bullet. I was going through chemo and radiotherapy for a brain tumor. My housemates drew up a full cleaning rota and bitched when I hadn't cleaned the bathroom. They demanded I cleaned it right there and then as I was passed out on my bed after a torturous chemo session. assuming they didn't realize how ducking nuts they were, and made you go through with cleaning right then and there. I hope immediately after you cleaned the bathroom, you took one step out of the bathroom to symbolize that it was done, then stepped back in, puked on the floor, said well it's not my turn to clean the bathroom anymore, and went back to sleep. I had a housemate who would forbid me from using the ground floor of the house at all when he had his friends over. When it came time for him to move, he also demanded that he keep a key so he could come in and out as he needed. The first one I put up with, just so I wouldn't have to deal with his meltdowns. The second one, yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Lived with a guy whose parents lived down the street, so he never cooked or did laundry. His mom did everything for him. Since he never had food in the fridge, he would periodically unplug it to save power, ruining my and our other roommates' food. Also, if the washer or dryer was on while he was sleeping, he would go and turn them off. First week we moved and I brought my mom to show her the new place. Had warned my roommates John was in the kitchen making pot brownies. Last but not least, he secretly smoked all my keef. Apparently she didn't like it if I leave the house without reporting to her my every move. I'm 21. She's 25. We're adults and I don't owe her an explanation every time I have things to do. Back then when I was still in a relationship, due to conflicting schedules I wasn't able to see my boyfriend now ex often. So I try to make the most of it when I could. If I go and visit him, she says I'm ditching her all by herself. If I stay at home, she says I'm being a shitty girlfriend and that I'm not seeing him enough. She sees either choices as being selfish and that I should reflect on my actions every time I decided to leave or whatnot. She didn't really make any demands, but she expected me to put up with a lot of shit that I shouldn't have. My university matched us up. She added me on Facebook and saw that I'm a lesbian. She immediately asks for a new roommate, but the school ignores her because we haven't even met yet. Get to the school year and we are living together in this tiny room. Every morning she's up at 6, playing her morning tunes playlist and opening the giant noisy blinds to our room, letting in all of the sunlight. Like, I don't care about you getting up early, but do you really have to act like there isn't someone sleeping 3 feet away from you with a totally opposite class schedule? There was a wild bunch of other stuff she did, including always having a dozen people in our room when I got home, sitting all over my bed and desk, and leaving me to study in the dorm common area. The last straw was when I came home one morning after sleeping in a friend's room and found some drunk strange guy sleeping in my bed. I woke her up and got mad, and she told me that I was overreacting and that any roommate would think nothing of lending out my bed to hookups. I was just done. I walked to the rep and told them that I needed a new roommate by the end of that day. I wound up in a way nicer room with a way nicer person though. In fact, we live together in a townhouse now. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,